He's one of the newest villains on TV, and the show Black Lightning is shocking everyone with amazing ratings. Marvin Jones, welcome to the show.
How are you, Shannon, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so
Good.
much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're a lot nicer in person than you are on TV.
You say that, man. I think that, my job as an actor is to present one thing and be another.
Yeah, you're a scary villain.
Indeed,
so tell us a little bit more about the show and your character.
Well, Black Lightning, as you know, is the first black superhero family on network television. Black Lightning, the comic book, which is a DC comic from 1977, is the first black superhero family in comics of any kind. And it represents one, again, like I say, the black family, but all three individuals in the family, Jefferson Pierce, who's the dad, and the daughters, Nafisa Nafisa, who's played by Nafisa Williams, and China Anne McClain, Jennifer and Anissa, who are the daughters of Jefferson Pierce. All three of them have superpowers, and they come to the realization of them at different times, but then they come together to fight crime, kind of like a family business. And my character, Tobias Well, is the antagonist of this great family, and Freeland as a city.
And he's good. How do you channel all that anger and all that hate? What do you do?
Well, I think that I always tell people that when you play a role like this, you gotta kind of be real and honest with yourself and understand that we all have an inner villain inside of us. And I think on a daily, we make a choice as good people of morals, right, and of moral substance, right? We make a choice daily to suppress that, whether we're in traffic, dealing with the wife or the kids or at work. We suppress some of these inner feelings that we have that might make us a villainous individual or an antagonist of some sort. Being an actor like I am, I'm able to play with some of those things, bring them to the forefront, and like I say, portray something on film, but completely look at myself and be something else in the world.
Wow.
So it's good.
And you do it well. But how do you feel about being on a show that tackles not only villains, but also social issues, racism, and social injustice?
I think it's a wonderful, it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of something so impactful. I tell people all the time, Black Lightning is so impactful and powerful to our community and all communities, not just the black community, but all communities, because it's telling the truth. It's giving you a realization and almost a reenactment of sorts of today's happenings, current events, and not just current events, but events that impact our community and the world over. And you're able to see them and see how, objectively they can be dealt with without individual bias or whatnot.
I think that's one of the reasons people love this show. I mean, the ratings, they didn't expect it to be so great, but I mean, it broke records.
Yeah,
everybody
man.
was watching it.
Yeah,
it was amazing to see it do so well. It's already been greenlit for season 2.
It has.
Congratulations
Thank God.
on
Thank
that.
you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it's not only tackling those issues, but another thing that you guys address is albinoism and
albinism,
the fact
for
that
sure.
what your character represents.
And we do hats off, and all the credit goes to Salim Akil and Mara Akil. I know you're familiar with their work from Girlfriends and Being Mary Jane.
Friends of the show, they've been here.
Yeah, and friends of the show, indeed. And they're just a superhuman, super powerful couple in television. They are superheroes in television themselves. And now to bring a show that is Black Lightning, the first black superhero family, and to cover all spectrums of black. I know the cliche going on. I say cliche because I'm doing a lot of interviews, and it's becoming cliche to use the word diversity and diverse. It's a diverse time in Hollywood, and it's a diverse time in Hollywood. I understand and I respect that, and I love and am honored to be a part of diversity coming to Hollywood. But think about Black Lightning. Think about Salim Akil and Mara Akil in the sense that they took that idea and gave it a full fruition in the sense that in Black Lightning you see the full spectrum of black. You see all shades of black, from the lightest to the darkest, and that's represented in truth and in action, and you're getting the full black experience there.
Wow, and you're taking that experience to even further. You're taking it to Africa and the things that you guys you're doing there, and some of the personal work you're doing.
Yeah, there's I'm trying to start my own foundation right now to help albinism awareness in America and the world over about some of the injustices that are happening in Africa, and also the biases and prejudice that people with albinism face here in America, just on a day-to-day basis. And being a voice and a mechanism of encouragement and an example of what can be for those. And there's another organization called OAM out of Africa, a sister in Africa, who helps awareness with the different plights that people with albinism face in Tanzania and parts of West Africa and Central Africa with the mutilations based off the myth that people with albinism have magical powers stored in their DNA.
Wow.
Which, if you look on the flip side of that, for the men and the witch doctors in the parts of Africa that believe that, that gives you a greater idea of the power that they know that God put in those that have differences. Not just albinism, but all things. I think that we see so many times, you know, the Bible says, not to get too spiritual, but the Bible says that the Lord will use what you view as weak to shame what you view as strong.
Wow.
And so many times in my personal being, I like to represent that, and I like to encourage people who have indifference, whether it be whatever genetic indifference that you may have, to be the defining moment and the defying moment, in the sense that what people view as your weakness, you turn it around and you turn it into a strength, and that's what we're here to do.
Well, you're definitely doing it, and I think that it's good that you're showing people that you can do anything, regardless of what you look like.
Yeah.
You can do anything. You can be a TV star, a movie star, and do these great things that you're doing.
For sure, and why not? I mean, the one thing with albinism people need to know, and I would like to make clear, is the only thing that makes a person like me with albinism and you without albinism different is the possessing of melanin. You have melanin. You're a light-skinned brother, so you don't have too much melanin.
I don't have much.
but you have more than me. But we're both African-American men in America, faced with the same ideas, same struggles, and same biases, but we also overcome the same prejudices to get to where we are. Now, the thing that I like to say that people with albinism represent, right, is the idea that America and the world over has put on you that color actually has something to do with your power and validity in the system and in society. Here I am, a black man, African American, on television, and a successful rap artist and entrepreneur, and I am very black. I am the blackest of black, but you can't see that to the naked eye. But that's only your ignorance. You understand? When you look at it that way.
But I could also imagine
you know what I mean?
that living, you know, your life as a black man.
And I wasn't calling you ignorant at all. I'm talking about the person that views it that way, the idea.
Totally get it.
Indeed.
But I would imagine that living your life as a black man would be different than someone who's also albino, but living it as a white person.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. I love that you said that, and you represented that, and you saw that point. Because indeed, the person that is a friend of mine who's an artist as well named Brother Ali, very close to me, and he's a white man with albinism, and he has a completely different experience than I do. You understand?
Right.
But our experiences are very similar in the sense that we're just faced with the ignorance of the world based off of who the world is. See, every living life form that God ever created has albinism in its gene pool. Everything, from mammal to, well, name it, any living thing, everything. There's albino alligators, butterflies, name it, name rabbits, name it, fish, name it. And what that proves, Shannon, is that we all come from one God. How can it not? How can it not?
That's deep. That brother getting deep up here on the set, right?
So with that being said, right, you have this stigma that's put on us, right? But it's really based off of the ignorance of our own people.
Well, that's why you're here to educate people.
Indeed.
And you're doing a great job through
And I
the
appreciate the
organizations,
platform.
through the school. I commend you to keep up the great work.
Thank you,
But
man.
I do have to ask you before you go.
Okay.
I heard a rumor that used to be, and still may do, a little rapping on the side when you're not acting.
I do.
Is that right?
I do. Yes, sir.
How'd you get into that?
Well, that was the beginning of me defying the odds. You know, when I was growing up in South Central Los Angeles, and like I say, faced with all these biases and prejudices, I think that music became an outlet for me to show an example, right, of what you say can't be, surely can. Right? And I've had examples prior to me, from whether it be Salif Keita, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but I'm sure your viewers watching know around the world who Salif Keita is, and Yellow Man, I'm sure you're familiar with Yellow Man, the reggae artist. So I had examples prior to my own example where people with an indifference utilize music to defy the odds, whether it be Stevie Wonder, so on and so forth,
And
right?
to be maybe even more accepted by the peers.
Exactly. So I think that, in hindsight, because I've been doing it a long time now, right, and I'm off onto other things, but in hindsight, I think that's what was the initial, my love for music, one, the solitude of it and the comfort of it that it gave me, and not just rap music, all forms of music.
Right.
And then to go into it for kind of this refuge of acceptance, right? And and to be, you know, and to know that I'm kind of good at it. So it had to be a God-given talent in that sense, and then that defying of the odds and representing myself to be the best that I could be, it ultimately led me here to this career transition.
Wow. Well, you're doing an amazing job, so I commend you to keep it up. And
thank you, man.
We're going to let you go, but we have to ask you, can you give us any spoiler alerts? The season finale is April 17th. What can you tell us? Anything.
Expect a big payoff.
Ooh, I like that.
That's all I'll say.
But for who?
I don't know. You have to watch.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. We'll be watching. Marvin Jones,
hey,
thank
man,
you so much.
For having
all
me,
right,
man.
appreciate your time.
It, man. Thank you, man.
All right, and we will be right back with more Arise 360.